Three, two, one. We're good to go. Can you tell us a bit about your background and what led you to your current work in the education sector?
Please go ahead.
Okay. So I hail from a very small city called, I can't even call it a city, but yeah, Sringeri. I did my CA, completed it all in first attempt, started working. That's when I realized more than tallying the numbers, it was the people understanding and analyzing their mindset was more passionate. So hence I shifted to psychology field, did further studies or practical experience under Howard Gardner on his multiple intelligence theory and started working having that as our base. So currently we are in career guidance and psychology based work with the students field, and our entire base is with multiple intelligence theory.
Okay.
Sir.
I am a doctor by training, a teacher by passion, and a social entrepreneur by choice. Deeply influenced by the philosophy of Swami Vivekananda in '97, that was when I came in contact with the philosophies of Swami Vivekananda. My entire work is oriented towards Rashtra and Dharma. So we work towards revival of the Sanathana Dharma and Rashtronnati, that is the development of the nation, development of the Rashtra. So in the pursuit of that vision that we call as Rebuild India, that's the vision of Swami Vivekananda, we have educational institutions as the focus, and we run a school where we bring in the concepts of Dharma and the ideas of globalized education. So the roots of Sanatana Dharma and the vision of globalized skill development leading to the development of leadership among our kids. So it's Rashtra and Dharma as the main focus, education as the key to complete community development and complete social development. That's the crux of Rebuild India activities.
Great. So just to get you guys started off, the one thing that overlaps is between in both of your careers is education. Now, if we see a new trend, or kind of a trend in the current census, it's that how do we encourage more young people to pursue careers in education? Now, that is a true problem. What is your perspective on that?
See, why do people pursue a career? What is the reason of choosing a particular career? They need longevity. They need to be in that for a longer period of time. Or what do you see? You see longevity, you see value enhancement with age, and you see the productivity in that career. Careers in education as a teacher, if you want to say so, it's a long-term career, that is a tick mark there. But for a very long time in our country, teaching has been a low-paying profession. Teachers don't get paid as much as a fancy software job would pay them, or a startup in a tech space would pay them. The primary thing that needs to happen to make people pursue careers in education is to bring the focus of the best coming back to educate the rest. When the best come to educate the rest, everybody develop, and this can happen only when the jobs or the careers in education becomes highly paying and very productive economically. That's my view. We have to make it very productive and very highly paying.
Right. So I guess Dr. Varun specified about the monetary aspect of it and the skill aspect of it. That is, highly skilled people need to come into this sector. Now, what would be your take as a psychologist in terms of how do we actually change the mentality of kids on the front of education? Like, how do we make it more cooler for the younger generation?
So coming to that point, I don't think it is just kids who will have to reframe their mindset towards having their career in education segment. It is the parents, it is their peers who are playing major role in making their career decisions a vital one. So having that in place, if I see in any school, there was a time when we used to ask the kids, what do you want to be? At least 30% of the class used to tell, I want to be like my teacher. Today that is not the scenario at all, because they see their teachers not as role models anymore, merely as teachers alone. when you don't find some particular profession to be a role model of yours, how do you think someone can pick that to be the dream that they would want to live with? So when that is not the case, I think we need to work on the current teachers to make themselves to be a role models to the students, which will automatically bring up the dream in the kids to take up that as their profession.
It's kind of a vicious circle if you see.
Definitely.
The same people, the people who have come from the same system become teachers and they amplify the same system.
Exactly.
It's a systemic problem there.
But probably due to the advancement of technology today, being a teacher is not the only role one can think of to be in an education segment. EdTech companies are growing like anything. Byju's, Unacademy, they all have opened up the wide doors for one to think about being in the education segment. And teaching today is not just confined to teaching in the in four walls inside the classroom having a chalk and talk model. It has entirely shifted and it has elevated to the place where one person sitting in India can teach the rest of the world students in any particular topic. So I think now the world is open to teaching in a different in a different paradigm altogether. So probably that will bring about a change slowly.
When you say paradigm, for a very long time in our country, the paradigm has been content. How better you can deliver content and make people understand the concepts.
True.
Now with technology, as you rightly said, the opening up of content has become globalized. Content from anywhere, from anybody is available online free of cost. The relevance of teachers has become very less.
True.
If it is for learning the concepts, if it is for learning the subject and the content that is there in the syllabus, I don't need the teachers that are there in my classrooms. I can find better teachers delivering better lectures online free of cost. So the role correction or the role adjustment of teachers is very necessary. Why do we need teachers now then? There is no need for teachers to deliver content. So that's the paradigm shift that needs to happen. Teachers need to transform into people who can bring about transformation is the challenge in the current times. Very rightly put.
And I guess both of you, importantly, if there is one point that intrigues me the most, is that online versus offline. It's not probably versus something, but I think the current world is changing into such a way that education has become a free liberating thing, as in it's a choice. Now, Dr. Varun,
is school only necessary for gathering information and transforming that into knowledge? According to me, education is the process of transforming an individual from what he is and enabling him to become whatever he possibly can be. So in terms of the abilities, in terms of the potential, there is infinite potential and unlimited possibilities. An education that can transform these possibilities into reality is what is necessary. My contention with the online form of education is you cannot deliver anything more than content. You can find ways to deliver content in better ways. You can make kids understand better. You can create animations, you can create virtual realities, you can create 3D, whatever is the technology that you bring in. You are making the student capable of learning the concepts better. Or you are making him learn the concepts better. I cannot even say that you are making him capable of learning it better. Learning something and developing the ability to learn something are two different things. However glamorous the EdTech space makes learning to be, I have serious concerns about the decrease in the ability development or competence development because of too much of support that is being provided. It's like trying to do calculations in your mind versus using a calculator. You can calculate faster by using a calculator, but if you can calculate it in your mind, that is competence development. You are just making it easier for you to calculate. So, online learning for learning things that you want to learn faster and better is good in its own space, but that is a very small part of education as such.
what do you think can be done better in order to make these competitive exams more enriching to the students' learning value?
As long as we expect every child to express the entire intelligence that they have in terms of words on a sheet of paper, we will be stagnant there. Now we have opened up our minds towards experiential learning. Unless and until we complete the circle with experiential assessment, we will still be there. Taking a Sanathana Dharma into a picture, or the scientific terminologies or nomenclatures that they have given, today no one would want to know how much do you know in the field of cooking by looking at your recipe. I want to taste your food to tell you that if you are a good cook or not. But that is not being done out right there. Because one, the modus operandi or the effort that one needs to put in assessing a kid will go really, it will involve more cost, it will involve more people, it will involve more effort. I totally agree on that. But unless and until we walk till there is no point assessing any kid to any competitive exams or anything for that matter and labeling them to be 80% rank holders or 90% category students or low performers. We are expecting a fish to climb a tree and rank them based on how far could it climb. A fish will have to be put into the test of swimming. That is not the entire case right now. So unless and until we change our entire education system towards that. For example, between Arjuna and Karna, the fighting or the competition was entirely archery. It was never Niti Shastra or Rajya Shastra or anything else. He was expert in that and he was tested in that. Unless and until we bring that system into place, unless and until we expect a kid to express his intelligence in his area, in his way, this rift or this differences or this labeling culture will not be gone, and that will not bring equality at any cost. I didn't know English for a very long time, yet I was expected to express all the knowledge that I have in terms of English. This is the case with majority of the rural students. We work with rural schools, urban schools, highly premium schools if we may call so, or tribal schools. The major difference between these two segments, or if these people are having more opportunity than these people, if they are not having confidence, if they are having low esteem, the one single reason there is that they all are tested with the same paper. They all are tested. The knowledge that they will have to be tested should be the same. I totally agree. But the way they were tested will have to be changed.
Adding to that, there are too many people aspiring to benefit from limited resources, so that leads to competition. Competition needs to be settled in a non-confrontational manner. You don't want people who are competing or aspiring to get the same things fight amongst each other, calling the system to be biased or unfair. So there has to be some mechanism to select people, to give them the resources that is available in limited quantity. That's the case with seats in higher educational institutions. However, the system is flawed, or the system can be improvised to make it more and more representative of the talents and the abilities that the students have. Most of the competitive exams are aptitude tests in the current scenario also, and there is constant evolution of the testing methodologies that's going on. So, the testing of aptitude and the testing of the attitudes necessary to pursue a particular course is a very vague and a very non-conclusive format. So that is the challenge that we need to overcome to make it more and more fair for the students who possibly could have been put into that institution for pursuing a particular course, but were not able to do so because the assessment tools are very narrow in their approach. So though the system that we have currently in our country is doing a decent job in allowing people to go through a certain process and get into the institutions of their choice, a lot needs to be done. And like ma'am said that we need to make the assessment more comprehensive. We need to make the assessment more multidimensional, not only for the purpose of allowing them to pursue a particular career, but also for the purpose of giving them the reassurance that in spite of your performance being lower than what is expected, Your ability to pursue whatever you want to pursue and your ability to succeed in life is not limited. So somebody might not be like, Madam gave a very good example, the fish has to climb a tree and being assessed on that. Now the problem with the current system is the reward mechanism is so narrow, marks driven, that somebody who is intelligent, and her work has been multiple intelligence theory, somebody who is intelligent in multiple dimensions but not in this format of formal education, needs to be constantly reinforced that though you might not succeed very well in this form of learning, your ability to succeed and your right to have a great life is not limited, it is unlimited. The problem with the current education system is we make our kids believe that they are fit for nothing very early in life. So that needs to be worked upon, and a lot of intellectuals, a lot of educationists, a lot of scholars need to come together and put some system on the ground that can make things better for them. In fact, we have created a system like that. I'll tell it sometime.
Right. So I think it's good time to bring up what you guys do as individuals with your organizations. As in, Sonia, you can start. As in, what is the impact that you're trying to have with Jagrati?
So he has rightly said that our entire education system is busy with aptitude building, wherein we focus on their attitude. A kid might be having all the necessary aptitude to get into a particular job profile or career segment, but what if his entire attitude is not at all suitable to that particular work that he will have to handle? For example, we can take an IAS officer or IPS officers. He might be having aptitude to crack the exam, but thank God there the system is right in place that at the interview level one will definitely be checked with their attitude. Would it fit the work that he will have to handle once they are in the workplace? Today the students will only focus on, can I score the mark, can I take up this course, will I get a good college, can I score good marks there, will I get a good job. Their focus is only up till this point, which is hardly a 4 or 5 or 6 years of efforts in their study period. Where their real focus should be on remaining 40 years where they will be working. Will they be 100% productive? Are they really up to the potential that they have? Are they contributing towards their work, thereby contributing towards the growth of the country? One simple question that we ask every student, every school that we work with is, India a developing economy or developed economy? Since when I was studying, since when the teacher who taught me economics was studying, India is still a developing economy. It is simply because none of us are putting our efforts towards choosing that career where I can give my 100%. I am only thinking, am I getting 100% of what I want? I am not thinking, am I giving 100% of what I can actually give? That is the work Jagrati is currently doing. We analyze a kid in 8 different types of intelligences that one will possess and help them choose that career where they can be their best version. No Monday blues, no tantrums, no my Ajji is not well, Tata is not well, I can't work, no Instagram, social media checking once in a while. That shouldn't be the case. When I'm in that work, I should feel like giving my entire day towards the company or the work that I'm doing. To be there, you have to choose that area where you're really good at. It is not only your interest, it is your innate skills which matters the most. Most of the times, parents give importance to their marks or the kids' interests. And unfortunately, today's kids' interests changes based on the one who inspires them. Today, I like physics faculty. I would want to do something in physics. Wherein next year, if I love my maths faculty, I would want to do something in maths, and next year it is social. That is how it is changing. And the information that a kid is getting these days are like never before. So they are getting confused on a daily basis. Keeping all these things in mind, we help them narrow down their choices of career based on the innate skills that they possess. Then the efforts that they need to put into that particular area will not be more, and the success rate would be really high. So with that, we work on their psychological aspects and analyze what are they really good at and help them choose the best possible career for themselves.
We look at an individual as a multi-dimensional being. The choices based on innate abilities needs realization of the innate abilities. the assessment of the innate abilities of the children based on tools that we have currently, psychological tools or the battery of tests that we do, all that will give us an indication towards what the kid might be good at, and it is not one thing that we can narrow down to. It is a range of things that they possibly can do well if they choose that as a career. Now, I would say that is an excellent way to bring the focus of the kids on things that they possibly can do well on. What we focus on is more fundamental and enabling the kids to do well based on their realization of their abilities. So the 5 dimensions, what in my experience, it's been almost more than 30 years of experimentation with myself that I have done that vary at multiple levels, physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. In all this journey and my interaction with my gurus, what we believe is if somebody is working on developing their multiple dimensions on a continuous basis from a very early stage, their understanding of the abilities, of their range of possibilities that they have gradually starts evolving. So it's a evolution based system that we have created in Rebuild India. Physical, intellectual, emotional, social and spiritual dimensions need to develop on a continuous basis. Everybody is designed to have an intuition driven guidance system within themselves. Intuition guides them what is it that they can align with and what is it that they can do successfully. But we have lost in the confusions that Madam pointed out. There are a lot of confusions. Everybody is putting thoughts into the minds of the kids. Everybody is telling everybody what to do. Very few people are focusing on themselves to understand what they are supposed to do. We are busy telling others what to do. So the world is pumping information, pumping advice to the kid very early. We put the kids to physical work on a daily basis. They have to exercise every day, they have to condition their body, they have to become strong. Intellectually, keep learning something every day. Try to balance your emotions. We get angry, we get sad, we get frustrated. Ability to bring back to the base level of happiness that we have. Try to adjust socially and try to go deeper spiritually. As an individual starts developing in these dimensions, when the time comes for them to make a choice, they are better suited to make choice based on the understanding of themselves. And with the help of tools and the scientific assistance that we have in terms of the vast ocean of psychological advancements that we have currently in the world, with the inner ability to identify their possibilities and with the tools to reinforce to them that their intuitions are in tune with the assessment scientifically, the students will be in a better position to choose career. And it should not be only career driven, their personal lives, professional lives and social lives. All these 3 should be in a balance, and that requires a daily focus and a very deeper focus. So we work on enabling this development and evolution in the kids, and individuals are associated with it.
So Dr. Varun, which generation do you belong to?
Which generation do I belong to?
Which generation do you belong to? As in millennials, Gen Z, so in that?
I don't brand myself into such generations. I belong to a generation that I belong to.
Okay. So considering, my question was, considering you were born in the 2000s,
Okay.
where do you think you would be by this age of your life? With the kind of exposure the kids have in today's day and age, if you guys would have had that exposure, and if you would have got the same amount of pressure, the competition, the information, paranoia.
How many years in the calendar do you think is a shift in generation?
10 years?
10 years. So I'm at least 2 generations behind the millennials.
Correct. Oh, okay.
I am the 80s kid.
Correct.
So older.
So yeah, so you guys got my question, right? Where do you think you guys would be, considering that instead of being born in the years that you were born today's day, you would be kids today. Where do you think you would have gotten at this point of time in your lives, 20 years?
Okay, to answer that, maybe if the question is with plus technology, minus technology, the answer would definitely be different. If it is the exact scenario, inclusive of the technology, then I will be as good as anyone who's they're currently whatever they are doing. The zeal, the enthusiasm to do something, the energy that we have, it is definitely not there. I can bet on it in the current generation, simply because we are hooked to a monster called social media or a technology. I would definitely call it a monster after my 8 years of experience with 1 lakh plus students. Basically because in a class before, if I used to analyze them, out of 100 students, 30 were of that mindset where anything is fine. I can go with anything. At least 20 had that zeal to be, yes, I want to do something, I have to achieve something. Remaining were either influenced by this segment or that segment, depending upon the friend circle that they have. But today the numbers are so different that more than 60 are in this category where we all know Maslow's theory. Necessity, comfort, luxury. Necessity once upon a time was food, shelter, clothes, and comforts were the house or a car or something. But today all those things are fundamentally something that they have as good as having hands or eyes or something. They need not have to work towards that. They need not have to pay to work towards paying the rent. They need not have to pay towards having 3 meals a day. They have it all. They have it ready with them. All that they are working towards, or all that is pushing them, is that I have to go and work. I have to have friends. The social party things. As long as I earn for that much, I am happy. My EMIs are paid by dad. My food is taken care by my mom. I need not have to worry about how do I bring in money, what do I do. That numbers have increased tremendously. Any company that I am currently working with for hiring students to them, they all have one single complaint and one single requirement that please find people who are having life, which is not found these days. Initially, I think say 4 or 5 years back, the question was, can you find candidates who are having knowledge and industry less gap? The trainings were taking care of those things. But today, the only thing that the companies are requiring is having people who want to work, who want to put in efforts. Otherwise, the second they enter the office, they'll be with their phones. I don't say it is wrong, but doing only that, not having purpose in their life. I can see more than 60% of the students in every class with that mindset. I go and ask, what do you want to be? Their answers are social media influencer. I want to be a YouTuber. No one is coming up with an answer saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a chartered accountant or a teacher. Teacher is the last thing that someone is choosing off late. Most of them would want only those professions wherein they are accepted, they are appreciated, they are followed, they are kept at the level of a star. No one would want effort put in areas. And of course, the rural schools, tribal schools, they are having one step lesser than that. But I can clearly see the shift.
But you're talking about validation here. Now, my question was, and specifically in this case scenario, do you think in this environment, would you have been a part of the 60% of the kids or only 40%?
For having the roots that I have, I would definitely be in 40%. But the influence, the power that the technology has and the way it is pulling, probabilities are definitely there.
When you say roots that keep you on the 40%, what exactly keep you?
I come from a place where on a daily basis, I used to be driven with mythology, my story, my bedtime stories, my summer holidays were all filled with festivals, celebrations, family. I'm from a joint family. So having all those things in place, the roots are really strong, and the basic stories or the early education that we have had was not only January, February, it was Chaitra, Vaishakha also. As good as me learning Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I had Asatoma Sadgamaya in my place. So I think that has played very important role, and that will get me hooked on to whatever I wanted to.
So are you suggesting that in order to bring back our kids to the 40% of the population, which is more driven, has purpose, that we have to go back to our roots, that is to imbibe cultural values and imbibe traditions in these kids?
I would not confine this to any one religion or any one type of practices, definitely. But I would definitely say having a social bonding on a daily basis, having your surroundings with some cultural, any culture for that matter, some cultural backup would definitely play a very important role. Initially they used to say that it takes a village to bring up a child. Today they don't even have a complete nuclear family to bring up a child. So having that in place, how do we expect kids to get hooked on to something, believe in something, going back to someone, having a trust system? They don't have any of that. With that, shifting, letting things go, walking as the things comes by, that is a normal thought. That will be the normalcy in some days for sure.
So Dr. Varun, let's go with your answer.
Secularization of education has led to identity confusion. This is the problem. Okay. Now, any place, again, India is a civilization. It's the oldest living civilization of the world. So, for about 150 years, more than 100 years of time, the system that has come into the Indian educational space is the Macaulay-driven education system. Lord Macaulay's report on the Indian system of education was that Indian education system is very strong. It is value-based. It is culturally rooted. It is driven by the local cultures and traditions. Unless we break it, we will not be able to create slaves out of a secure people. We had famines, we had problems in our country, we had a lot of poverty, there have been wars. All of that apart, our country had stayed as one unit, civilizationally and culturally, from the Himalayas to the Sagara. North to south, include Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all the area which was a part of the Akhand Bharat. The Akhand Bharat was culturally one. By samskaras we were one. And all of that comes from the Sanathana Dharma value systems. The idea of trying to make everybody happy and trying to make those people happy who are exclusionary in their philosophical background. See, the Abrahamic religions, if we talk about it, Sanathana Dharma is not religion. Christianity, Islam came to India, they were expansionists. There are wonderful things in that, there are wonderful ideas and philosophies in Christianity and Islam, no doubt about it. There are good principles, good practices everywhere. But when there is an exclusionary idea that comes into a place which is absolutely inclusive, India, by virtue of being a Sanatan civilization, accepts everything and embraces everything with open arms, and that's what happened. And when exclusion is the only idea that will make you happy, and unless you bring down the secularization of education that has so happened that if we talk about any value systems, now even in the values, when Srinidhi talked about values, it is not about religion. The Ashtanga Yoga talks about Yama and Niyama. Yama is the values that we have to practice, and Niyama are the daily disciplines. Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya, these are the Yamas. How can the Yama of Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, be Hindu-centric? Now, why is there a problem in introducing Yoga as a part of the curriculum in our Indian system? If some people have a problem with Yoga, in their minds in their mind they feel Yoga is limited to Hindu Dharma, why should the system or the people be so hesitant or so apologetic and remove it from the system? Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. What is truthfulness, non-stealing, non-possession of things which are not entitled for you, then Ahimsa, non-violence, and Brahmacharya, focusing on your priorities. How can this be religion specific? Bringing back the focus on samskara, Samskriti and Bharatiyata, only these three things can save our children. Today, the problem is of plenty. There is too much information available. There is very little grounding to the cultural identity. There is very little identity clarity. That's why people start mimicking the Western culture. Why? Because it gives them belongingness with something that is accepted. Life is a game of reward and punishment. What gets rewarded gets reinforced, what gets punished, or what doesn't get rewarded gets gradually declined. So, samskara and samskriti grounding is necessary to be brought into the education system to kind of revive the education and make it more value based.
But Dr. Varun, my question initially was that, considering that you were born in this generation, do you think that you could still have survived and developed in the way that you have today?
I would have survived. I agree with Madam in saying that. See, our families have been rooted to samskara and samskriti. We are not dissociated from samskara and samskriti. If my parents would have been the way they were in those times, if I was a kid in these times, they would have been parents in these times then. Correct, no? If my parents of those times would have been the same as the parents of these times, if they continued to be the same, even when they were parents of these times, I would have developed the way I have developed. And if my influences have been the ones that were there at those times, even in these times, I would have been the same. But if my parents were like most of the parents of these times, detached from the roots, detached from their culture, trying to secularize everything, being apologetic about everything that is Indian, then probably I would also have been in a state of identity confusion like most of the kids are. I would also have tried to find my worthiness in the validation that the rootless communities are trying to find validation. That is why Madam brought out a very important point. She told that most of the kids want to become social media influencers. Why? That is what is giving them recognition and reward also. They are becoming popular. Absolutely unintellectual people becoming celebrities. You don't have to be an intellectual. You need to know how to create.
You have to be best intellectual to be famous these days.
Be famous. So, if that is the role model, again, like very important points Madam brought out. Role models. Where are the role models? Who are the role models? If some social media influencer who is crass in his language, who abuses people and becomes popular, he gets a million likes he gets a million views for his posts, and he gets money for that also. Views and likes and comments, and that gives you money. All this is happening because dissociation from the roots. So, for your question, if my surroundings had been the way most of the kids' surroundings are today, I would have been like them. If my parents and my surroundings had been the way they have been, even in those times, I would have been like what I am now. So even now you will find wonderful kids who have great samskaras in music, dance, art, culture. You see that also. It's not that everything is degraded, everything is not gone. There are a lot of parents who are going back to their roots or going back to the samskaras. We see the celebration of festivals more than what it used to be 10-15 years ago. We see that the unapologetic declaration of their cultural grounding now than what it used to be 10-15 years ago. So I see a revival of the value systems, I see a revival of the culture, and it's going good. We are on an ascendant now as a nation.
So I think my next question would be, can you talk about any role models or mentors who have inspired you in your work in education?
Swami Vivekananda is my biggest role model. The vision that we are trying to implement, Rebuild India, is also his vision. The idea of Bharat as a Vishwaguru, that in his view is man-making education, man-making character-building education. I don't want to look at anything beyond individuals and developing them as strong leaders. That was the idea of Swami Vivekananda. So that is the focus, or that is the undercurrent of all the systems that we have developed. So apart from Swami Vivekananda, who is my guru, there have been a lot of influences. A lot of people have brought in different perspectives, different ideas about education, different ideas about life, various spiritual masters, the kind of books that we have read. So you can't say one individual or one instance that inspires. It's an ocean of a lot of influences that has shaped me the way I am today.
To answer the same, I think it is my father, because he is an educationist, he is an agriculturist, he is a journalist, and he's most of it whatever he wanted to do at each particular point of his life. And the passion that he had towards each segment, one is journalism, which taught me how to reach people and how not to reach people, to agriculture, how to grow anything, how to nurture anything, the way it comes up. It is not just the seed which matters, it is the soil, it is the way we nurture which matters to be the tree or the fruit bearing plant that it would be at a later point of time. And three, his way of educating. He always used to tell me that external motivation lasts for a very limited point of time. It is internal motivation which brings about a permanent change in anyone. So for me, he is the role model, and of course the very varieties of books that I have read, starting from Ramayana and Mahabharata, which anywhere I go, any situation that I refer to, I have a reference point here, and I can easily get an answer back there, to the modern day books up till origin of or any book for that matter, psychology based books, and then neuro-linguistic programming books. So all of them have shaped me to be what I am today, to be true.
And, parents are so important. Even my parents also have been a great influence on me. We see them. You see them from the time you are born, the way they conduct themselves, the way they take care of their lives. It's very important. Role models, extremely important.
It might be out of topic, but to bring a point here, today's parents think that it is the responsibility of the school to bring up a child holistically. They are busy and engaged making money to pay the fees and have the education affordable to their kids, the kind of education that they think which is suitable for their kids. Wherein they are forgetting one point entirely, that if school can bring up academical, behavioral aspects of a kid, the emotional and social aspects of a kid can only be molded by the parents, because 50% of the time they are at the school, they don't see one person as theirs. They see the friends, they see the teachers, and they try to have a different kind of bond with them. But since the childhood till the primitive age of theirs, there is one beautiful concept in psychology or in NLP, that it is called mirroring. A kid knowingly, unknowingly mirrors the ones they constantly see. So when parents think that I have been telling him not to tell lies, but they tell lies right in front of him, kid won't follow what is being told to him, but they just mirror what they see. They do what their parents do. When parents hold on to their mobiles and say no mobile time, like how do they expect kid to follow their instructions, which are entirely contradictory to what they do? They are not realizing. So unless and until parents take up that one little extra effort, ultimately you are doing everything, you are putting hard efforts, you are working day in and day out to bring up your child, give that beautiful life to your kids. You are forgetting that the very thing that your kid wants is your time, is your attention. Even today, as a mother, someone sits with a kid and tries to play with them. Every 10 minutes she goes back and checks her mobile if there is a message, if there is a call, if there is a meeting scheduled. That will get the kid entirely disassociated with the parents, and that is too dangerous for the mindset that they are constantly building up these days. We see parents feed the kids with screen time. Time and again we have been informing parents not to, especially during feeding, because it is the process where kids should understand how much is there in my plate, how does the food look, how does the food feel, how much should I pick up, how much can I chew, and how would it go, till where is it going. It is an innate process that happens at an unconscious level. But today, when they are watching Peppa Pig on the TV and when they are eating, they won't eat just because they want to watch some more time, they are ready to eat some more. And mothers are happy, oh okay, my kid is eating a few more chapatis, and they are happy. They are forgetting that based out of our recent research, the entire that particular set of students on which we conducted this experiment, they are at a later stage finding it really difficult to take decisions. The decision making skills are pathetic because they look back to someone to feed them with information, to feed them with the choices that they will have to make. They don't know how to do it because the very basic process of picking up how much they want and eat is lacking. It is leading to later disasters. Parents are not, really paying attention towards that. I think that will have to change at a drastic level.
And what do you think about this saying of parents holding the kids' future or the development of the child?
There is too much stress on what the parents need to do, and there is too much stress that the parents are taking about their children's future. There is no need to do so much. How many great personalities have come up in this generation for the last 20 years? Go back 20 years from there, the number of great personalities coming up. Go backwards, go backwards, go backwards. If we talk about great people that have come up in our country, if you take 20 years as the time period, it goes backwards and backwards. As you keep going backwards and backwards, the number of role models, the number of great people that have come up in this culture, or any land for that matter, would be more as you go backwards. So the recent generations, you don't find too many great people coming up. But this is the generation where parents are putting a lot of efforts to nurture their children, to give them the best and all that. See, it's like cultivating a plant. You have the seed has the potential, you don't have to do anything, you just have to put it in the right ecosystem. The ecosystem will nurture the seed has its innate ability to grow. Your job is to protect the seed from external danger. Protect the children from external danger. Doesn't mean you have to shield them from getting exposed to danger. Enable them to handle that danger, face that danger. And let them grow. Why do you have to decide what they have to be when they are 2 years old? Why do you have to decide about the skills that they develop? Let them develop, and naturally, and their development will tell you where you have to give them more support. You are just trying to squeeze them by your extra attention that you are giving them. Keep it down, cool it down, let them develop. They don't need you to develop. They have the innate ability. Don't have the arrogance to feel that you have the power to make them develop. We have the responsibility to create a development friendly ecosystem. Keep the house a happy place. Have intellectual conversations. Don't come from a point that the kid doesn't understand, the kid is not capable of doing something, and you will help the kid do it. Go to a point of view that the kid is capable of doing everything that he or she wants to do. Your job is to facilitate it and help when you feel the kid is going into a danger of physically hurting himself or herself. Till that time, be observant. Don't let the kid be and you be with your mobile phone. Let the kid be, but you be at a distance observing what the kid is doing, and help when the help is necessary. Don't hold the hand and don't try to guide them in every step. So parents have to cool it. Parents have to just take it a bit easy. The bigger the school, the better it is. The more expensive the school, the more better the quality of education is. Why are you trying to control everything?
No. In psychology, we call it as overcompensating syndrome.
Yes.
All that they are doing is, especially this generation of parents, I mean to say that where their kids are in LKG, UKG or maximum in first standard, the parents are so overcompensating. All that what they did not get from their parents, they want to multiply it 10 times and give it to their kids.
And every generation has overcompensated.
Yes, they're overcompensating in a continuous manner, and it is so disastrous that the kid is going to that class, this class, everything. The kid is expected to learn everything. The kid is exposed to everything, whether they want it or not. And parents are so protective, overprotective. I can definitely say that the smallest kids are supposed to fall down. Kids are supposed to get hurt. Kids are supposed to play with mud and dust, because there are things that they will have to get connected with. No. They will have to be so protected that they have socks, they have that, they have this. They are the boats or ships that you have built to sail on the sea, not to keep it safe on the shore. But today's parents are building a beautiful, structure to keep the ship very safe on the shore. Yeah, you are very safe. The very purpose of the ship is to sail, to experience the waves, the high tides, low tides. They can sail, they will. Just be there. But don't do everything for them. Don't spoon feed them. They're doing. It is so innate for every parent that my kid should not put in so much of efforts that I had put. They have to. If they have to be what you are, if they have to be better than what you are, they have to go through all that you had gone. Yes, hardships, those things, you take care of it. Financially, you take care of it. But effort-wise, they will have to put. Otherwise, one day in the company when they are working, you can't go and do their work also. Unfortunately, today we see parents coming to the school saying, "Ma'am, why didn't you give this one extra mark? He scored 19 and he could have got 100. In school, you go and ask teachers. In school, you can go and talk to principal. In the company, who will you go and ask for their appraisal, for their hike, for their promotion? Kids would expect, oh, my mama will come and talk here also. Please get your kids out of that mindset saying, who is my father, who is my mother. No. The kids should know who they are. Kids should know how to present themselves, not having the shadow of their parents. So that parents should be.
Another big problem that is happening in the education system as such is trying to keep the group very narrow in its diversity. Select the students for school based on the parents' background, based on the parents' financial status, their educational status. So the peer group has become very narrow. When you have a conditioned group, you have a very narrow group that you are engaging with. It is not a representation of the society that you live in. From birth to death, people are living in their own small worlds. They don't go out and mingle with the whole world. So when there is selection criteria for taking kids into school, criteria of the kids, how well they have learned, what the parents' background is and all that, it leads to creating a bubble within which they live, and going outside of that bubble will make them distressed. Nobody wants distress, so they continue to live in that bubble. Whenever they are forced to face realities, the reality will hit them on the face. It doesn't have any hesitation in hitting people on the face. Many people will break down, realign and readjust and live a life of balance. And a lot of people will break down and go into depression, and even why do we see suicides among people who are well off in the society? They have money, they have everything that people assume that is necessary for life. So correction needs to happen at multiple levels, and parents definitely, yes, in their over zealousness to give the best only to their kids, they are making the system move towards a very false very false system where you don't have exposure to reality. And education, unfortunately, in our country has become like any other business. So institutions are forced to keep the parents who can pay them big money happy, and the parents are coming and telling the schools what to do.
Exactly.
So it's a very bad culture that is developing, especially with education, whoever the parent is. See, in earlier times, that's why Indian education system is the best, the Gurukula system is the best. In earlier times, the son of the king and the son of the maid, if they are worthy of learning from the guru, will go to the same Gurukula. The king's son also will go out and get ration for the day. He will also go on seeking bhiksha. Just because he is the son of the king has no right to come and tell the guru how his child should be educated. Now these people who earn 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees a month put their children in schools which will charge 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees a year, and go and tell the teachers in the school and everybody else what to do. If you know what to do, why are you putting the kid in the school? You do it yourself. If you want something to happen in the school, something to happen to your child, you want the child to develop in a particular way, evaluate whether the school is taking your children in a particular direction and let them do their job. The arrogance of going and telling the school what to do, what not to do, the arrogance of going and telling the teachers how they should behave with their children The entitlement people are feeling with respect to the education of their children just because they are paying money, the commercialization of education has led to all this khichdi. When we start looking at education as a business and the customers are students, the people who pay the money are parents, you have to keep the people who pay you money happy, do everything that makes them happy, which is not necessarily good for the children. Unfortunate situation. We have to break it.
So how do you plan on going about de-commercializing education?
Commerce is necessary for doing anything. That means operationally, if you have to sustain a school, you need to charge a fee. But making profit is the necessary driving force of your activities is a problem. Commercialization is in trying to build your system to suit the market demand. Nowadays, parents want the classrooms to have ACs. If there is AC in the classroom, there will be more people willing to pay more money. That is a commercial thought. Is putting AC in the classroom necessary for the child's development? You need to have the child get exposed to sun, heat, cold, everything, and the body will adjust. Having air-conditioned classrooms is bad for the children's development, but it is good for making more money. That is commercialization. Don't do something in your school, in your institutions, just for the sake of increasing the price of your offering. Think about whether it is necessary for the objective that you say you are working towards. If the objectives of the institutions, educational institutions, should be the evolution of the child, evolution of the students that are there in the institution. Every single thing that you do should have an answer to that question, whether this will help with the evolution of the child. Right. So the parents will go and ask, if there is a school, I will not name the branded schools, so-called branded schools. The parents' interview is taken, and if you have a fee, let's say you have 1 lakh rupee as the fee, an auto driver is willing to afford that fee for his child's education. What is your problem in giving the seat to the child if there are seats available when that person has come to you for the seat? Why do you take in applications and scrutinize and select the students based on the parents' background? Because you don't want to cater to the educational needs of a person who even wants to afford it. You are trying to build a brand, you are trying to build a brand value for yourself, you are trying to make more money, you want to be assured that everybody who comes in will pay you the fees in one shot. The auto driver might ask you for 4 installments, you don't want to give that. He will pay you the money, but he wants 4 installments. You want everything to be paid upfront before the starting of the academic year. That is commercialization. So think about education as something that needs to be delivered in an accessible manner. It has to be accessible for everybody. It has to be affordable. Think about what is the expenditure of your school. Take that. You cannot pay from your pocket. But how can you buy a Mercedes Benz from the surplus revenue that the school generates? How can you build a palace of 50 crores from the revenue that is generating, that the school is generating? You might be doing it in the name of the trust that runs the school, but still you are not entitled for it. The education should be a trusteeship. Education is, as an educationist, you are a trustee of the people's trust. You can use that money to build more institutions. You can use that money to build more facilities. You can also compensate yourself for the work that you are doing. But don't think about the lifestyle and competitive lifestyle if you want to be an educationist. If educationists and education institutions work towards creating better lives and stop chasing better lifestyles, there is no end to having bigger lifestyles. But for a good life, you don't need too much. A good life can be done within means, but lifestyle has got no end. So de-commercialization can happen only when the people in education think about the purpose that they are doing this and not think about the revenue that they can generate.
He has answered most of it. We have come too far the way it is running. Probably once the NEP in place, once the educational institutions at least realize that for the money that they are taking, as long as they are providing every single pie worth value addition back to the students, I think the purpose should be served.
every technology is useful. Science being translated into technology is to make people's lives more simple. So that's the purpose of technology. So all the technology that we have been using in our institution and all the technology that is there in the world is useful. But my problem with technology is if you introduce technology in the lives of people as a replacement to their abilities, there is a problem.
Yeah, to answer that, definitely with the help of technology, we could outreach to more numbers. Basically, initially when we started the career guidance on an offline model, the number of students whom we could cater in a year was limited. Now that we have taken the help of software and developed online tools, we are able to cater pan-India sitting here, and the number of students whom we could address has increased from say 60,000 or 70,000 a year to almost 1.5 lakh students a year. So definitely technology has, and cost-wise, initially the number of people whom we had to rely upon has now reduced. It is a plus and a minus though, but the technology has made us take it to the rural students at a very affordable cost for that matter. So that way I would definitely say it has increased our output in a multifold way.
Now, if both of you agree that technology has changed the overall outlook of education or any industry for that matter, if you have observed recent trends, AI is being used for all the right and wrong reasons. And an important part of AI is where AI will take over all the jobs from humans. As in,
to answer that, according to me, that will be a boon. That will come as that hard stick which was most required for the current trend that we are seeing. Simply because now if I ask any kid who is already going to the school A for, they will automatically say apple without even thinking. But before going to the school, if I ask the kid, she would come up with amma and antelope or whatever that she can actually see in the house. In one way, unfortunately, the current education system was cutting down on their creativity in a whole way. Now, with the technology, students will definitely realize, or they will be forced to realize that unless and until they are that one bit extra, they are that irreplaceable person having some skill that cannot be taken over by machine, or something that they can do definitely better than a machine, there will be survival issues. So that will bring back their creativity, that will bring back their out of box thinking capabilities, and that will hit them hard the place where they think that they will somehow survive. They will get some or the other job. Some or the other job will not be available anymore. We've been telling current 7th, 8th, 9th standard students that by the time you are out in the market, the machines will take over you. There are hundreds of jobs which will definitely be taken over by machines. For example, there was a point where BPO and call centers were at peak and everyone were thinking that 15,000-20,000 jobs are easy to get. Today that is not the case. That's definitely not the case. Every day we are seeing how ChatGPT has come into what was once a dream or what was once a project which is in pipeline has already been executed. So with that, unless and until students know that they by hearting things reproduce it in the examination and having the marks on their marks card will definitely not be sufficient. Unless and until they know where to use a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square, they will not be able to survive. So that will reduce their burden on just knowing what a plus b whole square is equal to, but will force the faculties to teach them where to apply. The application driven teaching will definitely come into place, and that will be the only way we survive or we compete with the machines. That cannot be done by machines. So I from a psychological perspective, from a career front, I would definitely feel that this AI or ML coming into place or taking over majority of the jobs will work as a tool.
The challenges and threats and opportunities have always existed. From time to time, the challenges, threats and opportunities have been different. when industrial revolution happened in the 60s, 70s, lot of manual labor was replaced by machines, and that was the same problem then also. Lot of people were engaged in manual works, machines came and replaced, 100 people's work is done by one machine operated by one person. People had to realign themselves. Even in those times, people were there who made themselves capable of handling the machines and got better opportunities. A lot of people continued to remain where they were. And in the 90s, there was the IT revolution that happened. There were a lot of software jobs available. Many people took up the opportunity, become good developers. Now they are doing wonderfully well. A lot of people became back-end support system for the intelligent systems. Now there is artificial intelligence that is coming in, and it is learning faster than human beings are learning. So human beings are not learning. There is this potential, there is this ability in the human mind. Human brain has infinite possibilities. But the machine has limited possibilities but infinite ability to increase its ability to learn. With every learning, its connected, its networking of the ideas that it gathers becomes more and more complex. So, machines, it's just like if I have to write a letter to the Prime Minister, I am good at writing, I'll write a good letter, but ChatGPT will do a better job. It's doing a better job. So the drive to evolve is a constant drive. The machines are pushing people to evolve. There are few people, like always, who will evolve and adapt and become capable of handling the situation. A lot of people will still continue to be people who will just look out for whatever is available, whatever is possible within the circumstances that they live in those times, and survive, continue to survive. So what I am coming to is the limiting factor for development and the limiting factor for people's progress has not been external. For a long period it was external, opportunities and available possibilities. But no longer it will be external, because everything that is external is available in plenty. The limiting factor for progress is internal. Unless we develop the society as a society that works towards internal development, we need to have the ability to work on our health on a daily basis. We need to take care of our health on a daily basis. We need to have the ability to work hard. We need to be consistent in our pursuits. We need to develop the trustworthiness in the society so that we keep getting more and more jobs. We need to have the discipline to stay on the track of our pursuits. We need to have the intelligence to adapt to the changing situations. All of this is not external. All of this is internal. So I see that the artificial intelligence, machine learning revolution that is coming up will lead to a lot of people going inwards to work on their abilities and competencies and become capable of handling the situations based on quick adaptation and learning as per the demands of those times, whichever time it is. We don't know what will be the available jobs 10 years down the line, but we can work on developing the abilities which will make them capable of adapting to the jobs that are there 10 years down the line. If I don't have the ability to learn, I will not be able to use the opportunities. So the entire focus on content-driven education to competence developing education will accelerate with artificial intelligence and machine learning coming into the picture. That will not happen systemically, because most of the people who are in the power to drive this change are unaware, are ignorant, and are commerce-driven. Commercialized minds, they will not be able to bring about it. But a lot of people are working towards bringing about the change, and that change will happen, and it will be for good. It will be for good. A lot of mundane things that we used to do using our brain, that energy will be freed up for us to do more and more productive tasks.
So going a bit about your personal lives. Now what I know is that both of you are workaholics. Now, according to pop psychology or pop culture, workaholics are usually brought up because of some deficit in childhood. Now tell me the reason why this motivation to be addicted to work or to give your whole and soul to work has been the driving force for you guys.
In my case, my whole thought was every human being on this earth which has taken birth is for a purpose, is definitely with a purpose. And like any PUBG game, we don't have multiple lives, we just have one life in when you have given that noble birth wherein you can think, you have hands, you have people, you have means to achieve anything and everything that you can, how can you waste? How can you just let all those blessings that you have go in veins doing nothing about it? So, since my birth, or as and when I grew, these thoughts or these things were very clear to me. Like there is a purpose. There is a purpose why I am here. I figured out what is the purpose. Initially, I thought, okay, when I did my CA, because my father told I'm really good at math, I could crack the exam. I could clear the exam. Clearing the exam is not at all a game. Anyone can clear any exam provided they put in right kind of efforts. But once you are there, are you living the life that you are supposed to live? Are you doing everything? Is what changed the whole thing. And in my life, that is one Kutti girl in Japan changed the perspective about whatever work that I am doing. It was a small school. We had some work, we finished, we were going back to the hotel room, and meanwhile our coordinator took us to the hotel, took us to the school because he had something to work, and I went to the 5th standard classroom. I had 2 chocolates in my bag and I thought, just to time pass, we can't sit quiet. So I asked the whole class, who's very intelligent in this class? So I thought I took the chocolates, and for my shock of life, the whole class had their hands up in the air. 5th standard students, the entire class believed they all are intelligent. I was taken aback and I didn't know how to respond, and I asked the girl who was sitting in the front row, like, how can all of you be intelligent? And that answer brought life to the work that I'm doing. She said, ma'am, I can draw like no one else can draw in my class. And she's my best friend, and she can solve math sums quicker than any of us in our class. And I started asking out of curiosity, and 32 students had 32 reasons to believe they are intelligent. The same question till date I'm asking in every school. I have not seen more than 2 or 3 hands with full of confidence. Simply because we have been constantly told to prove that we are intelligent, and we believing that we are intelligent itself is a kind of rare scenario. That made me believe that I have to, my country, which was full of sales and which was full of diverse intellectuals, be it astronomy, astrology, biology, anything, any field that you take, we had our saints, had the greatest names. Unfortunately, we didn't write it down, we didn't take a patent right. But today, none of the kids are ready to believe they are intelligent. None of them know that they can do wonders. With that, no clarity about themselves, how far can I take my country? So with the only hope that by 2030 at least, how many Oscars have we won? How many Olympic medals have we got? It is almost negligible. Is there dearth of talent in our country? Definitely not. But the only thing which is not available here is that they don't know what they are. They don't know what is the potential that they have. I'm trying to do the work of a Jamavanta to my whole country of Hanumantas. I just want to show what they're capable of, and the rest will be taken care of. With only that one motto, when I started working, I don't think someone can stop me. Neither can I stop myself. So that's the.
So, just to conclude and to answer my question also, what went wrong in your childhood that made you overcome?
Absolutely nothing. Everything went right, and that is one thing.
So are you saying that pop culture is wrong in saying that something is not?
See, there are 2 ways of pushing a person. One by not giving what they wanted, by creating that urgent zeal to get that at any cost. 2, by giving everything and pushing, motivating them to give that back to the society and to give the same luxurious things that you had to the rest of the world. So I fall into the second category.
See, everybody has an inherent and an internal reference of happiness. That's a different theory I have. I will not explain it here. So all of us have an inherent and an internal reference for happiness. And since early childhood, our attempt is to hit that point of reference of happiness and experience that again and again and again and again. That is why we want multiple things at different points of time. That is why when we feel that if I get this thing, I will be happy forever. We'll have some craving, and small kids will have, if I get a bicycle, I will be done, I will be happy forever. You get a bicycle and within 2-3 days, within a week, you are done with it and you want something else. And why are we in that constant pursuit of something else? It is to experience that reference of happiness that we have. Okay? For some people, you will find that reference of happiness being experienced while doing some task. In Adi Shankara's philosophy, he says, na idam, not this, not this, not this, not this. Then what? What is it? That is the Brahman. So who am I? Who am I? Who am I is the question that Adi Shankara asks. And in the pursuit of an answer to that question, who am I? Who am I? Am I this? Am I this? Am I this? Am I this? Not this, not this, not this, not this. And when you reach a point where you come face to face with the Absolute, with the Brahman, when that question comes up, am I this? Yes, there is a complete alignment. Then you become what Shankaracharya says, Aham Brahmasmi. That is the realization of that. Not going that far, for us when we hit a point of work, when we hit some work where you constantly align to the internal reference of happiness that you have, that work you can consider to be the purpose of your life, or something that can take you from the material to more deeper spiritual dimensions. So, what I do currently is not something that I planned for. What I do currently is not a reaction to the distress or the pain that I experienced in life in early childhood. All those Western ideas of pursuit of human purpose are very shallow and very superficial and very absolutist, either or kind of concepts. It is not either or, it is a continuum. So, a lot of influences, lot of experiences, lot of questions made me pursue certain things, and the pursuit of work to enable the installation or the development of further dharma and the progress of our Rashtra and dharma are two things. When I am working towards, I hit that consonance or the resonance with that internal reference of happiness. So that's why I keep doing it. That's why I keep doing it. So it's the same for everybody. What makes you happy doesn't make you get tired. What makes you happy, you forget about everything else around you. If you are able to get lost doing something, then that is what you are supposed to do for the rest of your life. I think what I am doing, what I am pursuing is in that direction. So now I can say probably that is the purpose of my life. So it's not in response to some pain or some distress. It's a growing thing, and you don't know when is the point that it actually took course.
And it seems that both of you have kind of found a purpose to your lives, which is more or less, if we can boil it down to, a service to others. How do you recommend people find this in themselves?
See, don't think too far. Don't think about finding your purpose. Do everything that you are doing with a sense of complete samarpana. There are 4 values that we propagate in Viva India. Sadhana, that is do something every day that makes you better. Seva, do more and more service that will help you to break down your ego and open up to yourself to different dimensions of your existence. Samarpana, complete surrender to whatever you are doing. And Tyaga, sacrifice your self-interest for the interest of your family's interest for the interest of your country, nation. So when we live every day with a sense of complete commitment to whatever we are doing, there might be a time when something suddenly opens up or you are led into the purpose of your life. You will not be able to reach your purpose of life as a pursuit if you pursue every day of your life with absolute dedication and living in the present moment, every moment of your life. When that point arrives where you have aligned yourself to the purpose of your life, no matter what you do, you cannot get away from it. So it's not moving towards it, it's just that when you arrive there, you cannot get out of it. So live your life to the fullest, live your life with complete dedication to whatever you are doing on a day-to-day basis, minute by minute basis. Hopefully someday, at some point of time, the purpose will open up. How do you know that is the purpose? When you don't have a choice. You are okay to give up everything, but this. And that's the purpose.
What's your answer?
And yeah, just to add on to that, when I say purpose, purpose need not have to be service office. Not everyone can get into the service mode for that matter. Kshatriya had his role to play, Vaishya has his role to play, and similarly, all of us are destined to play our own set of roles, and that is more or less to be called as a purpose. And purpose can never be, it need not have to be always at a very elite level that I will do this to the society. Whatever you can do at your level, you can't say that once I earn 1 crore, then I will do something to the society. That is not how purposes are set or derived or arrived at. It is something that you would want to do even when you have very limited things. It is something that you feel like doing, that you feel like following, even with the current existing lifestyle that you have. So it is not something where you sit and decide, okay, what is the purpose of my life? Let me decide, let me figure out. That is not who it is. Purpose will automatically derive and arrive at you at a destined point of time. You just have to be conscious enough to realize that that is what is your supposed to be. That is what you are supposed to do. Just be that open person. Dedicate yourself to the work that you are doing. Be 100% there. Give 100%. Be it to yourself, your work, your organization. Be true to it. Be true to the work that you are doing. If you are taking 1 rupee as a salary from someone, work at least for 75 paisa, if not entire 1 rupee. So that is more or less will eventually define or help you derive it.
And one small story I'll tell. There used to be a saint who had a tremendous power of spiritual progress, and he was short-tempered also. So once he would be sitting under a tree and meditating, and a bird, drops. There's the bird poops on him. Now this saint gets so angry. He looks at the bird, and the bird just gets burnt to ashes. One other day he goes on a bhikshatana, and he goes to a house, and he calls Bhavad Vikshandehi. The lady of the house says, wait I'll come. He calls, he in a more angry tone, he says, Bhavati Vikshandehi, he says. She says, I've told you to wait, please wait. And after some time she comes out, and she gives him something. He is staring at her, he wants to burn her. She tells him, don't look at me like that, I am not the bird. This fellow is startled. He says, what do you mean? I am not the bird to get burnt by your anger. Take it. Now he asks her, how do you have this power? How do you have this, spiritual energy to understand what I was doing and what I am trying to do, and why did my energy not affect you? She says, I don't know. I am a householder. I am a grihini. And all that I know is, I have been following my dharma of a sati. The sati dharma I have been following for my entire life, very devoutly. Probably that has given me this power. So the power of commitment to the dharma that you have, and the power of doing everything with the samarpana bhava, that cannot be discounted. So forget about purpose, forget about doing great things in life. Do everything that you are doing with absolute surrender. Samarpana.
In today's world, people seek validation, people seek happiness, people seek wealth, people seek a sense of achievement in every endeavor they go for. Be it any person on the scale of 1 to 100. Now, as you said, Dr. Varun, it can be anybody doing their job to their complete abilities that should serve them. But people aren't satisfied by that. People look for more. How does one find a place of sustenance, a place of sustainability.
It's natural to want more because you are somebody who is as vast as the manifest and unmanifest universe, and you are limited by the body mind consciousness. So your natural tendency is to expand and expand and expand so much that at some point you just merge into the infinite. So that urge to grow and become better is more and more, and that's natural. But the problem is competitive lifestyle. Need to understand the difference between a good life and a good lifestyle. A good life requires food, clothing, shelter, and a sense of fulfillment. Emotional stability, fulfilling relationships, happy social life, all of this is a good life. Good lifestyle is, I have a Maruti car, you buy probably something better, so then somebody else buys something, you buy something more. So wanting to appear better, more and more luxuries, the desire to have more is the root cause of all problems. To buy a Mercedes Benz, you have a dream to buy a BMW. That means you need to accumulate wealth to spend on a car, 50 lakhs to spend on a car. You have to work more. You have to look out for jobs which will pay you more. You will have to fulfill the expectations of that job, compromise on your family time, compromise on your personal time. For what? The same functionality that a 5 lakh rupees car could have given you. So that 45 lakhs that you want to spend on is an unnecessary bondage for you, which will make you get caught up in multiple things. So seeking validation from others in terms of what? What do you want validation for? The validation is internal. You know why you are doing something. Are you able to do it? If you are able to do it to the extent that you wanted to do it, that is the validation. If you are not happy about people not appreciating that or recognizing that, then don't do it for something that you want to do. Do what people expect you to do. Each thing will come with its own good and bad for you. You want people to appreciate what you do, then you will have to do what people appreciate. You want to do what drives you, then you should not be bothered about what people are talking about. You should be happy about whether you are able to do it or not, irrespective of what people are talking about. Set your expectations right. You can't have it always. They say no. You can't have the cake and eat it too. If you can do that, you have the cake and eat somebody else's cake, then that's a privilege that you have. So set your expectations right. Live according to that. Don't bother about external influences.
So, I think for this I will give the credit to social media and technology again. Simply because today, how many friends do you have in social media? How many likes do you get for the content that you upload there? How many comments that you get? How many people have viewed your reels? This is all the kind of validation that a student or current, if I can confine the whole conversation to the education system and students, that they are expecting. That is because since their childhood, parents have been very good. What you have done is great. The smallest to smallest things, when their kids are able to achieve, a mother and a father are so happy they are able to clap for it. And kid grows up with that expectation, even at the school. Teachers will have to give stars whenever they write it right. Without the star, when the kid comes home, they'll be, why I didn't get a star? I got only 1 star, I got only 2 stars. So this external validation has been imposed on the students or the kids since the very early period. And now after, all of a sudden, if you expect them to not expect for the validation, not expect for external appreciation, it won't be fair. You have groomed them to expect that in every aspect of your life. So it has to change in a systematic way. And once it is changed, it is very few of them can get the mindset of Varun sir and understand that it is what you believe is what you have to do. There are very few elite souls who can get, but the rest of them, we may call as Gulumanavas, we are groomed that way. So I just live that way. So in that case, if you want that to be changed, since the root you will have to change. I don't say parents should not appreciate, I don't say school should not appreciate. But for what? When they have done unexpected thing, when they have done beyond expectation, that is where this, you know, disparities or comparisons or all those things would come into picture. So I think it has to change from the root, at least psychologically.
The reward punishment system in our society is so flawed and it is so illusory. It is not grounded in reality. Just to make your kid happy, you give an unrealistic appreciation, you give disproportionate appreciation.
Yes.
That sets wrong expectations. Like very frequently we see this one image being shared. There is a cat standing in front of a mirror, and inside the mirror there is a lion. It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is who you think you are. This is supposed to be a motivational quote, but I'll tell you what the problem is. The cat is in an illusion that it is a lion. So if I am a cat and I assume that I am a lion, I think I am a lion. When I am in front of the lion, I try to challenge the lion and I get eaten up by the lion. Now,
I end up neither being a cat nor being a lion.
Yes.
This is the practical scenario that the kids are going into. Every kid nowadays who are supposed to go abroad are expected to be Rishi Sunak. Like guys, not everyone can be everything. Just let them be what they are. No, that is not how it is.
Don't try to look at yourself as a lion. You become the most powerful cat. That's good enough. I know I am a cat. Okay? I will try to develop all the abilities that a cat can possibly develop. So there can be no better cat than me. Or I will be as good a cat as any cat is. Now there will be no disappointments. I'll get appreciation also. But if I assume that I am a lion and I want the world to appreciate me like a lion, I might be under the illusion that I look at the mirror and I feel I am a lion. The world is not blind. The world will look at me like a cat only. So the world is under no obligation to feed my illusions. The more realistic I am about who I am and what my abilities are and what my contribution is to the society or to the surroundings that I am there in, my expectation about reward, recognition and appreciation and validation will be real. I might get less or more. There will not be a huge gap between what I expect to get and what I get. But I am real.
This fear of failure is never taught to the kids these days. They don't know what failure is all about. In the real life, once they hit the stage where they will have to take care of their calls and decisions, failure is something which is none. It is not. There is no person who has never failed in any aspect of their life. At least in switching off the cooker, when the third whistle comes, at least they would have definitely failed and got yelled at by their wives. But on a serious note, when the kid is not open to, when the kid has not made to experience the failure, that fear is so humongous and huge, they are ready to quit their life than to face the failure. We just saw a 9th standard kid expecting to get 95% but got 90% committed suicide. In our case, even 35% students are used to commit suicide. Because fine, if we say 35%, let's say 40%, it's okay. Yeah, but that won't define who I am. That's not the case today. How can I tell the whole world that I just got 90%? Yesterday, the second PUC results is come, and when I asked someone how much did you score, 92%. Who the hell does it make a face of 92% like this? But that is how it has, it has created. He has used the right word, illusion. We are living in that illusionary world, and we are constantly feeding the same to the upcoming generation. Unless and until we stop, we're going to have big time, we're going to have hard time for sure.
And you see the kind of emotional binding that happens to a child. I am struggling so much so that you can have a good education. I am compromising on my day-to-day life. I am compromising on my luxuries. I am compromising on my happiness, all for you. All of this will be meaningful only if you achieve what I expect you to achieve. Now, when the child is not able to achieve what the parents expect the child to achieve, there is a sense of betrayal being told to the child, given to the child. You have betrayed us. Now, expectations were not based on what the child committed. Expectations were based on what the parents wanted the child to do. Now, as a child, I am going in my father's Bajaj Chetak standing in front, and I see a Mercedes Benz next to it, next to my scooter of my father in the signal. I look at the bench, I look at my father. Expectations building up. My father never told that he will buy a Mercedes Benz. When we are shifting one house to another house, rented house, when I am going in that transportation vehicle, I look at a big house, I look at my father, I expect someday my father also will build a house like this. Now my father retires and I tell my father, you betrayed me. It was my expectation, no? Do you think it's only the parents that will have expectations from the children? Children also are having expectations. Did you fulfill their expectations? Or were their expectations based on your reality? You can say, how can you expect me to buy a Mercedes Benz or build a bungalow when my salary is this, when my job is this? On what basis did you put expectations on my accomplishment when I was 2 years old, when I was 3 years old? What was the rational basis on which you built up the expectations and fixed it for me to fulfill? See, fulfilling that pursuit of excellence, all of that is fine. If my attempt is sincere and if my attempt has been decent without compromising the effort that I put in, wherever I reach, that should be the accomplishment that is celebrated, appreciated. I reach 60% by putting in good effort, so 60% should be celebrated and appreciated. Just like you cannot expect to fulfill all my expectations as a child. I am not supposed to be fulfilling all your expectations. There is a problem of understanding realities, and people mix up realities, illusions, expectations and create a world for themselves where nobody is happy. Come to the ground. Come down to the ground, live a real life. As much as possible, try to progress. Whatever progress you achieve, be happy with that. Don't be satisfied. Keep progressing further. That should take care of everything.
I guess my last question would be, both of you have been in this industry, that is education, for quite a lot of time. Now, we want this podcast to be helpful in terms of offering solutions as well. Now, there has been a lot of solutions, there has been a lot of opinions, there has been a lot of problems that we have brought out. If there is one solution that you would like somebody else, so now we all know that each of you are committed to one goal already. There is no time to work towards other endeavors. But you know that there are certain pain points in the system that could be filled by somebody else. So what do you think are those? You can give one example or one problem that and offer a solution to that anybody else can pick up from this podcast and solve it by themselves. I hope I've made myself clear. Is the question clear, guys?
Yes. Number one. Like I always keep telling, life is a game of reward and punishment. Children spend 15 years of their life in school. The age from 3 years to 18 years, when they come to nursery and complete their 12th standard, is the age of extreme expansion in the mind of the child. Now, when the mind is expanding, they are very creative, they are very active, they are very exploratory. The institutions, the space they be in, the ecosystem that they live in, that is the school primarily and the house to a certain extent, should be a space that will support this expansion. It cannot be a restrictive space. So my suggestion to people who are entrusted with the responsibility of enabling the development of these children is make sure that the children are not put on a path of structured learning very early. Let the discipline evolve and let it not be forced. Don't tell the kids that these are the things that you are supposed to comply with, and if you don't, you will be punished. Allow them to expand, allow them to explore their limits. And every time they go beyond limits and make something wrong, commit some mistakes, you tell them what is right and wrong. Keep telling them what is right and wrong continuously. Whenever they do something wrong, tell them. Make them aware of it. Let the discipline evolve, let the responsibility come. Let them do everything they do out of the responsibility and accountability that develops in them, and not because of the fear of elders, not because of the fear of people who will punish them if they don't do it. So, developing a system of evolution is necessary to enable good education.
I don't believe in everything has to be done by government concept. I believe each one of us are responsible for the growth of my country. So when it is so, we've been constantly hearing one problem education is not provided to all segments of the society. Government is providing school facility with food, with whatever basic necessities, uniforms and everything that are required for. As a human being, as the responsible citizen of a country, you have your maids at home, you have your helps at office. How many of them have you educated with these facilities? To how many, you're just passing by and you see a construction work going on right next to your house. Have you put in an effort to go and tell them that, see, your kids, since you are nomads and you're going from one place to another place, these kind of schools have to provide with easy TC facility to provide education for 1 year. You need not have to stick in the school for 10 years or something like that. That basic responsibility have we picked up? We want everything to be done by NGOs, governments, people with responsibility towards that. But you can happily sit at home and complain that my country is not developed, there is no education provided, etc., etc., etc. What have you done towards it? It might be little. I don't even say go and pay their fees. All that I say, at least educate them to go and get that done. Take them till there. That at least should not cost you anything. That responsibility, I think we as individuals should pick up before expecting, one fine day some changes to happen to the country. So that is my.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this podcast. I hope we do this again and talk more about the issues on illusion and all of these stuff. There is a huge uproar coming on the West about people identifying themselves in different ways, people talking about who they are and enforcing that as law in many countries. That is a concept probably I wish we could have touched today, but I think there's a shortage of time. But anyways, I think that's it for today. Thank you.
It's been wonderful having this conversation. Thank you for your perspectives.
Thank you so much, sir.
It was a great learning experience too.
Yes, it was learning for us rather than we,
Yeah.
telling our thoughts to someone else. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.